G'day guys, and today Shorty and I are going to review the game between Geelong Gold Coast at Simonds Stadium. The headline for this week, gutsy Cats win in a thriller.
We got there, mate. Gee, it was a gutsy effort. Great to get the win.
It was such a scary game to watch, and I really don't know what to take out of it. I'm so unhappy with the way we played, but I'm also so happy we finally got a win on the board, and sometimes you just got to grind out the victories and just get them on the board early on in the season, which we've done. Mate, you had a game to cover, so you listened to the whole game and watched the last quarter at home that you taped. How did you see it, but also mostly hear it?
People are probably wondering why I was getting fist pumps at the local footy when nothing was happening, but I had the earphones in, and that's why. But I'll start with my positives, and that was, like you said, it was such a gutsy win, and it was great to just, when the game had to be won, one guy on the bench, everything's up against us. We've already lost Hawkins. Bartel goes down early. Lonergan, he's done and dust for the day. Mackey's already out.
Stokes with the ankle.
Yep. And we still managed to win, and it was so important, because imagine if we were sitting here 0-3.
I don't think we'd even want to do it.
No,
we'd be crying.
The footy world will be coming down on top of us like no other. So that was the main positive, and another positive was the fact that you can look at it two different ways. Yes, Gold Coast have been poor, but we could look back at this win. Say pre-season, I would have taken any sort of win over Gold Coast because I thought they were going to be a very good side.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're playing terrible football. They're losing. This seems like, you only beat Gold Coast. But if we look back and this is Gold Coast's sort of turning point, they start to play better from here. This win might look better. Another plus was the fact that we can finally continue on that winning culture, I guess. So
started off.
Yeah, a lot of younger players having a nice close game win under their belt. So
always good.
But then I'll quickly touch on the negatives, and I think you might back a few of those up.
Yeah, probably.
I love my stats, and again, it was great, all those positives, but again, the stats didn't read beautifully.
No.
The clearances, again, bad. We lost by 14. Inside 50s, we lost by 15. We got smashed at those throughout the game at certain points. It was a smashing. I think it was the third quarter, which was our best. We had 9 inside 50s to, I think, Gold Coast 19. Which is unbelievable. We kicked 6 goals 2, and they kicked something like 1 goal 4. So we were efficient, that's for sure.
Had to be.
Yeah, we had to be. So again, the clearance is a bit of a worry, which it always seems to be.
Yep.
But hey, win on the board. That's the main focus. It's just good to get a win. Let's be honest.
It hasn't been a win in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
So,
but look, I'm interested to get your thoughts, mate, because you did see the whole game.
And it was a very stressful game to watch too. Didn't I tell you in the second quarter we're done? But it was a bit early. But the way we're playing, we deserved to lose at that point. But it was just a gutsy win, as we keep saying. I'll touch on the negatives first and finish off with a positive. It annoys me when we miss tackles. It annoys me when our disposal isn't up to scratch, and it's been the same for the last few weeks. And nothing like easy goals. Was a Garlett, he ran bloody half the ground, and there was no one back at all. So we had the full-on press, and it was just one of many easy goals. And goals from clearances, especially inside their 50. Gold Coast are great at that.
Yeah.
They did that a few times, but I think for the most part we were okay, but it was also terrible to watch it at times. And but on to the positives, mate. We did very well to wrestle back the momentum, which we seemed to do in, I'm pretty sure it was the second or third quarter where we kicked 6 goals. I think that was the third quarter.
Yeah. And
the fact that we had one on the bench, and it inspired us almost, and it usually does for teams when they get an injury. They seem to it motivates them almost. They become united.
The challenge,
mate. They love it. So the defence was really good with the amount of injuries Gold Coast had. The defence did pretty nicely, and we'll talk about that in the votes. But awesome win under the circumstances. Winning by 9 points in the end. I don't even know if I mentioned the margin, but I don't like the look of the future at this point in time. But who knows? It could be a turning point for Gold Coast, but we'll see. But we'll move on to the votes, mate, quickly.
Yeah.
And who'd you give them to?
I gave Selwood the 3 votes.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. 38 touches, 23 contested.
That's good.
He just eats contested footy for breakfast. It was brilliant. He's fantastic display. Leads by example as always.
Sensational.
And I gave the 2 votes to James Kelly. Back to
Kelly.
some of the best form for Kelly. He was sweeping across the back line well. I think he ended up with 27 touches. Used it pretty well. So
that's it.
It was impressive. And Blitzarves, I gave the one vote too. Stood up with that game-sealing goal. Was brilliant, but that wasn't all he did. Some good smothers, good work in the ruck, good work through the midfield. He's really coming of age. If there's probably one positive throughout the whole season so far, as far as personnel, I'd probably say it's him so far. He's been very consistent and shows a lot of promise, which is great. So
yeah,
he gets a vote for me. And how about you?
Very nice, mate. And that smother that he did ended up in a Motlop goal, which he had to kick after the terrible week he had.
Yeah, that was a great moment. Redeemed himself. It was good.
That's solid. I went with, you can't go past Joel Selwood.
No, you can't.
The 38 disposals, 4 marks, 6 tackles and a goal. And it's not the stats, it's the way he leads, it's the way he plays. He was like a man possessed, and I reckon it's his best game for the club, if not nearly the best game of his career.
Yeah.
So it was just sensational. We're at that point where we've been probably in the lowest point in 10 years, and he still played like, he was in his prime. And
just drags blokes with him, doesn't he?
Yeah, dragged us across the line. So he was sensational as he is most weeks. James Kelly got the 2 votes. I reckon it was his best game for the club as well. Just giving everyone best games for the club.
Wow.
27 disposals, 4 marks and 5 tackles. And without those 2 guys, we would have lost by 5 or 10 goals, to be honest, mate. Kelly was the general down back, and I thought he was just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
He was just always there and, mopping up the mess. So
that's all we want.
He did very well. Might not be his best game, but it'd be one of them. I'm just going to say the best game for both those blokes.
Yeah.
And give him a bit of a wrap up. But Josh Walker gets the 1 vote. I don't think I've ever given him a vote. And have you ever given Blitzarves a vote?
I'm not sure. I might have maybe once last year, but he definitely deserves it.
Probably against Sydney.
Yeah.
Where he was the only player that actually played. 9 disposals for Walker, but he didn't get much to the pill. But when he got it, he got 4 goals. So very handy up forward. Without those 4 goals, we lose. So pretty simple. Yep. So those are the votes, and we'll go on to the chopping block and the injury update with Shorty. What have we got, mate?
Yeah, good segue with Walker too, because that's a very interesting point for the selection table. We'll start with those injuries. Got Bartel, who looks like it's a medial thing. It could be anywhere from 4 weeks to 10. Until we get a clear review of it. So of course he'll be out. Stokes looks hugely unlikely. Mackie sounds like it'll be an extended period of the sidelines, or at least a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll be seeing him back. And
you'd hope they wouldn't rush him back.
You wouldn't think so, because it wasn't like he was in great form anyway.
Sorry, Knox his best player.
I'm a favourite player, but Lonergan as well. The concussion, we're very cautious on it, as are most clubs. But you couldn't see any of those 4 guys playing. No. And as far as guys who maybe don't deserve their spot, well, there's not many, but Murdoch stands out as one. I'm not sure how he got picked, to be honest, and he didn't show us why he got picked anyway on the day.
And he still has done nothing since pre-season.
Yeah,
his pre-season, he did nothing.
Yes, he's quick, but the only way you can be quick is if the ball's in your hand. And I think he gets 7 or 8 touches. Am I correct in saying
probably,
that? So not good enough. He might be saved by the fact there's a lot of injuries. A lot of upside, but we often, if you end a sentence with a lot of upside on a bloke continually, it's not good. So
it's a telltale sign.
Yeah, and as far as the guys who can come in, I think Dean Gore's looking good in the reserves. He was in the best
emergency last week, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
He could be a chance to play. And Blease has surely got to be a chance.
He has to be.
Yeah, I think so. Kolajasny as well, you would think the natural option with Lonergan might be him, and of course Rivers was left out as well.
Yeah,
so
bit stiff there, but
yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a few guys that come to mind. Where's McIntosh tracking along? Looks like they're viewing Stanley more so as the ruck at the moment. So there are a few who might come in, and I think they probably deserve their shot. But a lot of guys like Gregson was good again, and
I really liked his game.
Yeah, and Lang deserves to keep his spot. He wasn't fantastic, but you persist with guys like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and Cockatoo likewise. But that forward setup's going to be interesting. I mean, we have talked about Walker a lot.
You love him.
Yeah, I love him, and he showed us why. He stood up. He's a good target. He's never going to rack up heaps of pill, but he makes it count. Kick the 4 goals. You can't drop him. Surely not. So
you'd be pretty. You'd be very, very unlucky to be dropped for that.
You'd break the man to do that. I know you floated the idea of whether they ruck Clark a bit more. I know you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I think that would be a good option.
Yeah, so that's something they might roll with, but you can't drop him. North Melbourne have a few taller backs. I think Brad Scott said they ideally play 3 tall defenders. They think they line up better, so we may trial the 3 talls. Hasn't worked in the past, but they might try it with the versatility in the ruck. So there's a lot to think about, not so much from a negative point of view, but a necessity point of view. I mean, it needs to be done because they're injured.
Yeah, for sure.
So a few guys have been putting their hand up in the reserves, a la Blees, Kolodjasny and Gore. I think surely at least 2 of those guys get a chance.
Sounds pretty good, mate.
So there's my chopping block. Not much chopping, but they've already been chopped because they're injured. So, there it goes. But as I said, North Melbourne next week.
Yeah, they're out.
Take a look at that.
Yeah, I sure will. But they're pretty much out regardless of whatever anyone thinks.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how it goes. So, as Shorty said, North at Simonds Stadium. I don't think it matters where this game's played, honestly, with a performance like that. But, I don't really know how to see this one, mate. I don't think we can win it based off how we played, and with the injuries, and with North wanting to be very hungry after a loss to Port Adelaide, which they would probably fancy themselves to win that one, if they want to consider themselves a top 4 team.
Which they nearly did too. Very impressive.
Yeah, they came back a little bit, looking on. I didn't actually get to see the game. That's okay. You told me it was the best game for the year, so I just couldn't believe it. I mean, if you want a tip, we'll have our tips video up pretty soon, but I've gone with North by 25. How do you see it, mate? What are you expecting to see?
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. While it was great, we got the win, as we said, it wasn't, a blitzing win by any means. North Melbourne, played off in, I think it was the best game of the year. It was high tempo. The only just we might get is the fact North might be fairly tired after and spent after what was a high intensity game.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes next week you can struggle, but I wouldn't be pinning our hopes on that. I think our work will be cut out. North Melbourne had our measure in the finals, and I can't see it being much different. I don't think Simonds Stadium holds the fears for other clubs that once did.
No,
it's not as scary. Yeah, so look, I've gone them by 16 points. You can check out our tips, like you said. Again, we'll be looking for the same things we look for week in, week out.
The same old cracks that keep showing.
Yeah, and look, I bang on it, but the clearances might have gotten away with against Gold Coast. You won't get away with against a side like North Melbourne, but they too have a few injuries, so
we'll see.
Del Santo, Wells is 50-50, and Zeeble likewise, so you never know.
Yeah, I don't think it's a personnel thing for us, as I've maybe said at least to you offline. But it's more or less the way we play, not who we have in. So, that's what I think. It doesn't matter who we have in or out.
Yeah,
just how we go about the basics.
That's right. And I will mention one thing just to close out with Chris Scott's presser. Interesting thing he said. While he wasn't impressed with the match, he said, what was it that he wishes people stopped judging this Cats side and saying on what we used to be, not what we are now and what we're building towards. So it's a good way. He words it in his own words very well.
He does, yeah.
And it's a very good point. We've got to stop judging this Cats side on probably what will go down as the greatest Cats side of all time.
Yeah,
6
for sure.
to 7 years ago. So worth noting.
That's it, yeah. I just love when he says, someone's eventually going to be right. about the downside. Yeah, but you get it wrong probably 5 or 6 times before you get it right, so is it really worth it? But that will close it for us, I think. So that's the review from Shorty and myself. Geelong winning by 9 points at Simonds Stadium in an absolute cliffhanger.
Yeah, an absolute thrill.
Very stressful game to watch. Feel free to check out darijoe does the Geelong Goal highlights each week, and also Ben down at the Cattery uploads some content there and some more highlights, and he'll put our review up, which is good.
Yeah, check it out.
That's it. And also catstars.com.au also has some more Cats highlights. We've got a few people on board with us this year, so that's really good.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to us as well, share it around to everyone in the world so we can deliver this content to as many people as we can, because we love doing it. So
That's it, mate.
The more the merrier.
That's right.
All right, thanks heaps for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you all soon.